everybody. Nice to meet you. My name's Nicola and I am the course leader for Media Studies.
And my name is Becky Vickers and I'm course leader for Creative Media Practice. Now this kind of 20-minute Zoom is going to be an introduction to both courses. We felt it was appropriate to do this together because we get asked so often, what's the difference between Creative Media Practice and Media Studies? And the answer is they're so very different that it's easier to discuss all at once. But they're both, you'll find out kind of later on that they're both as creative as each other, and they both offer excellent kind of results at the end of it. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk through the courses as a whole, and then I will do a bit of a specific talk about Creative Media Practice, and then Nicola will do the same for Media Studies, and then we'll be free to take any questions. Okay, so I'll get started because I'm conscious of time. Okay, so we do offer 2 media courses here at Kiwi, and the main thing to kind of say is the main difference is that one is 100% coursework and there isn't an exam, and the other one, Media Studies, does have an exam, but it does have some elements of coursework in there as well. Like I said, we're going to talk through each of them. So the main difference is the exam. Creative Media Practice is a BTEC. It's a national diploma and is 100% coursework, so there's no exam at all. What that does mean is that every piece of work that the students will do from September to them finishing the following year, it will be part of their grade and it will be assessed and it will kind of all go towards the final grade that they get. Media Studies, Nicola will go into a bit more detail in that shortly, is a linear A level. It does have an exam, 2 exam papers that's worth 70% of the overall grade, and then 30% of that is coursework as well. So both courses do have some element of practical work in there, which is always reassuring for students to know because sometimes that's the kind of thing that they're interested in. For both courses, the requirements that we ask for would be a grade 4 in English language or English literature. And if you've studied GCSE media, we would expect a grade 4, but it's worth saying that you don't need to have studied media at all for either of the subjects. We kind of start from the very beginning if we can. Not all schools offer GCSE media studies for starters, but it's something that we like to kind of start afresh with. So don't worry if you've never studied media before, although if you have, then obviously that means you've got a keen interest in it, which is exactly what we're looking for anyway. So grade 4 in English.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to come in there and say, quite often we will get asked as well which one people are more suited to. Now, that'll come across a little bit when we go through the course content in a bit more detail. But I would say, you know, when you're doing your GCSEs, if you enjoy those subjects that require you to think, so, you know, your humanities subjects, or you like analysing, so your English literature, then Media Studies might be kind of the A level that you want to consider a little bit more. If you think, actually, I am more of a portfolio coursework person, I'm more maybe artistic, I like working on computers all of the time, then, you know, Creative Media Practice might be more for you. That's not set in stone though at all. We will go through it in detail. I'm just preempting that quite often people will ask us, you know, what kind of GCSEs would kind of fit well with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as well, you know, some people don't like the thought of exams, but that's not to say that Media Studies isn't for you, because we would support you in the lead up to the exams. And in the same way that people who like coursework might be more inclined to do the Creative Media Practice, but you need to think about kind of time management in your other subjects as well. It'll be worth considering as well.
So where could they lead? Both courses can give you some excellent pathways. A lot of our students, the majority of our students, do go off to university and study creative, practical or theoretical degrees. We have a lot of people who will go into media degrees. Media practice, so cinematography, maybe it's advertising and marketing, journalism, radio, TV. Some people will move, we have moved more into the theory side of media. So they start to study kind of your cultural studies, or they'll study media studies, film studies, which is more about theorizing about the media and how it works and how it affects people. But we do have students from both courses who go off and do completely different degrees. You know, we've had students who go into nursing, teaching, history degrees, psychology degrees, you know, all kinds. I mean, you name it, we've probably had a student go off and do it, except medicine and veterinary science, because obviously those kind of degrees require specific A levels. There are apprenticeships available in the media industry. They are, there's not a lot of them available, but they are available. The BBC do things, they do internships, the ITV, Channel 4, Sky. So you will find there are quite a lot of opportunities, but they are very competitive, but they do exist. And some people might go straight and directly into employment or into a higher level apprenticeship. So we do have quite an array of an array of options with a degree in A level in media, largely because you're going to be multi-skilled when you leave. You're going to have a lot of skills that are very, very transferable and make you very, very employable. And we've got a lot of ex-students who are really successful working in all kinds of different areas. And if you go on the college website and have a look at our subject recruitment websites, you'll see exactly where the students have gone on to. The courses are worth exactly the same. So Becky did say at the beginning that they're very different types of A levels. Media studies is your traditional A level, and it's graded A star down to E. Creative media practice, like Becky said, is a BTEC, and that is distinction star down through to pass. Now, they are worth the same in terms of getting you into university. Quite often, people worry that if they do a BTEC, that they're not going to get into university, or, you know, is it the same? They're exactly the same. They're exactly kind of the same UCAS tariff. So don't worry about that. What we would say is just think about where your strengths lie, okay, to get you on the right course.
Yeah, I think just to add on that, it does say exactly the same, and they absolutely are in terms of what the universities think. But what is worth noting for the creative media practice is it's the nature of the course, because it's a BTEC, it's slightly bigger than an A level, equivalent to an A level. So you can see that the points, the UCAS points on here are slightly more. Basically, all that means is it's, I guess, equivalent of an A level and a half. But in terms of what you get at QE, you'll still be enrolled on 3 subjects. And because it's coursework, we kind of push it into the 2 years that it would take. So absolutely right that it's exactly the same in terms of how universities view a BTEC versus an A level. But it's a slightly bigger qualification, but that's worth taking note of in terms of your other subjects as well.
Yeah, for your workload, definitely.
Trips, probably one of the best parts of the courses, but it's worth saying that media studies and creative media practice and film studies, actually, we all work together for our trips. So what by that we mean that we open them up to all the cohorts of all media and film students. And pre-COVID, this year, we've had annual trips to London, and a new one for last year was New York. And these are just fantastic. So other ones that kind of we've done that aren't London, aren't the residential ones, a Sky Sports Study Day we've had in the past, fashion design and promotion workshops, virtual reality, Teesside Uni, Sunderland Uni. We like to work quite closely with the universities, especially the local ones, because we find that, you know, as the year go by, a lot more students stay local for university. And we've got good relationships with them. So it says bespoke, and in other words, I, Nicola, contact them and we ask them, can you do this, this and this that's relevant to the courses and what the students are studying? So they're really kind of relevant to what it is that both courses offer.
Yeah, the London trip, we've run this for quite a few years now, Becky. I wouldn't even like to guess how many it's been, actually. It's been loads. We go down, we try to do this in the last week of term before Christmas, just because it's so magical. The Christmas markets are on, and we do Harry Potter Studios, and Harry Potter Studios is fantastic next to right at Christmas. So it's a 2-day package. You get bed and breakfast in your accommodation. We go to the Warner Brothers studio tour for Harry Potter, and every year they seem to add things on, so there's something different every time we go. We do a West End theatre show. We try to do a different one every year. An evening meal at Planet Hollywood, and for the last couple of years we've done an animation workshop with Chocolate Films, which is a London-based television and film production company. So the workshops and activities are subject to change each year. Obviously, we have to kind of work with companies to just make sure they've got availability and it's affordable. But that is a really good trip that we do offer students the opportunity to partake in. And we run this trip every year. So if you don't go in year 12, you can go in year 13 if you want to.
And then new for last year, which was outstanding, was New York. We went in February, so just before the world went into lockdown. We were so lucky, so lucky. And this is something that, you know, health and safety permitting, this will happen again, possibly in the next year or two, we would hope. But this was a 5-day package. And again, it was various for media and film students, but with a little bit of sightseeing in there as well. So bit sightseeing, Empire State Building, Broadway, with Paley Media Centre, NBC Studios, Museum of Moving Image were all just fantastic, so relevant. The students absolutely loved it, and relevant to all parts of the media, which was fantastic. And they got so much out of it. We just really hope it will happen again.
We did lots of walking,
that we're really proud of.
Yeah, we did loads of walking. We threw in some extra things as well. We actually had lunch in Central Park, didn't we? Spent the day in Central Park one day. It was actually 20 degrees that day as well in February. We were so lucky with the weather that day. So we do try to walk as far around New York as we can to give you the whole experience, make sure that you can see as much as possible.
Okay, so that's kind of the things that we share and the things that we do together. I'm going to talk through creative media practice, then Nicola will do studies, and then we'll open the questions up and see if there's any questions we haven't answered yet. We have all got, you can see at the bottom, a Google site that's got some activities on there, but it's also got examples of student work and a bit more information about the courses. So I would recommend that you go on the Kiwi website and get the link and have a look at that, because it's a lot more in there than what I will tell you in the next 3 or 4 minutes. But here is me in New York. I'm a big Muppets fan, so this is me in the Museum of Moving Image, and my colleague Vicky in New York also. So details are on there should you want to contact us later in the date. So just to kind of reiterate, 100% coursework. It's a BTEC National Diploma, so it suits all learning styles, whether that be whether you're a practical learner or you prefer to kind of set yourself mini deadlines, and kind of do things bit by bit. The beauty of a course like this is that you can work in the way that is suitable to you, and there is so much freedom in this course, and that will hopefully come to light in a second. The course is very much based on media practice, so it is a very practical course, and we will aim to develop new skills or learn new skills and develop them in various different media skills, such as we've got research skills, teamwork, practical skills. We'll do photography, some camera work in there. We use Adobe software, so it would be Photoshop, InDesign, and if we're going to do some moving image and some filming, it would be Adobe Premiere that we use for that. We tend to focus on advertising, print advertising and TV advertising. So the students tend to create their own advertising campaign of a brief of their choice. And in the past, we've had real life briefs. So that Darlington Police have been in and asked to produce an advertising campaign, show racism on the red card. New for last year was Copperfield. So Copperfield, breast cancer awareness, and students had to produce an advertising campaign to create breast cancer awareness and its symptoms to young people. And the students can choose what brief they want to work on. Magazine production is another one, and students research, plan and produce a magazine of their choice of any genre they want to do. So the freedom is, quite vast. So it is hands-on, real life production, so the employability skills are vast as well. We've mentioned kind of where it leads to. They tend to go off and do creative degrees or apprenticeships, but Nicola mentioned that earlier on, web design, radio production, anything really, because like you say, the skills that you learn can take you anywhere. Equivalent to 1.5 A levels, I've mentioned that. And it's only made up of 2 units, which, you know, something I really like about this course. And it's practically, we do 1 unit in the first year and then another one in the second year. So the first one is a skills development unit, and that's exactly as it suggests. So we spend the full first year developing our skills, and those skills can be based on any form of media practical form. The second year is a large creative project chosen by you guys. So for example, the first one, we'll do your photography, we'll learn how to use Photoshop, we'll learn how to do the software, we'll do practice kind of magazine production, practice advertising production, web design, so we'll learn how to do, you know, create websites, to name a few. And then again, if there's anything you want to develop your skills in, then let me know and we can maybe incorporate that as well. So it'll be a year of lots of mini skills development projects, which leads us then to the second year, where I guess you would choose your favorite skill or the skill that you feel strongest about, and then you will create a final big project, all directed by yourself. And again, you'll get to choose that. So I won't tell you that it needs to be a magazine, or if you chose magazine, I'd say, right, you need to do 5 different pages for it, for example, but you get to choose what you want to do. So it's coursework, it's practical, and there's a lot of freedom for independent study in there.
I'll quickly go through media studies, but just to answer a question that's coming from Phoenix. Phoenix is asking if it's still a good choice for people who didn't study media studies in secondary school. Absolutely, Phoenix. You do not need to have studied it at all. Both courses, all skills are taught from scratch. So, you know, don't worry about that at all. Media studies then is very different. You can see there, it's me and Jodie who teach the media studies course. And basically, media studies is a theoretical course. I don't know if we've got another slide there, Becky?
Yeah, sorry.
So we'll skip past this one because I've already talked about that. But basically, it's a theoretical course, and we look at how the media construct representations, and how they communicate to audiences. We will look at kind of industries and how industries kind of compete against each other. So different media outlets competing for power. We'll look at the impact that technology's had on the industry and how it is kind of responding to technological change. And also we look at audiences and the changing nature of audiences and how audiences have developed and the role that audiences have in the media now and how they can kind of work with the media to shape it. The course does use theory. So there's theory in every paper. So we have 2 exam papers. One is media messages, where we'll do an in-depth study of the news and look at how different news outlets construct different representations and how that might be affected by their political leaning, for instance, or who owns the paper or who their audience are. And then we look at alternative magazines, so the big issue, music videos and advertising, and we look at how they work to sell products to the audience, how they construct representations, and how they might influence us to think in particular ways. And particularly music videos, we look at music videos as a real powerful device on how they're offering kind of social commentaries on the world that we live in. Paper 2 is evolving media, and this one's all about industries and audiences. So looking at the media as a business, and we look in particular at television. So we look at Stranger Things in Deutschland 83. They are subject to change, the set text, by the exam board, but those are the texts at the minute. We look at how they construct representations. We look at how TV viewing's changed and the rise of binge watching. So if any of you are like me, I'm an absolute fully fledged binge watcher. And we look at kind of how TV's kind of adapted to that. And then we look at the film industry, the gaming industry, and the radio industry. And radio is kind of having a bit of a revival at the minute, and it's coming back quite strong. And we'll look at kind of how they advertise to their audiences, how they maintain their audiences, and we look at how that medium has developed over the years and the impact that especially things like the internet has had on it. We do have a coursework unit, like Becky said, it's 30%. It's a cross-media production, so you will make the cover and contents page of 2 new editions of a magazine, and you will make a home page of the website and 1 linked page. The brief changes every year, it's set by the exam board. So we've had fashion, we've had entertainment, and students tended to make music magazines or film magazines for those. And currently, year 13 are making current affairs magazines. Pretty apt at the moment, actually, because they've got a lot of content that they can use because of everything that's going on. So who knows what it will be for you guys? You know, it could be sport, it could be food, it could be lifestyle. You know, choices are endless. So that's the 2 courses. Does anybody have any questions? If you've got any questions at all, just send them in. I know Becky and I are really good talkers and we've kind of yabbered on the duration, but please feel free to ask us anything if you want anything clarifying. Our email addresses are there in case you come off the Zoom and think, oh God, I wish I'd asked that. You know, you can just drop us an email. While we're waiting to see if there are any questions, Becky has mentioned the Google Sites, but if you go onto the college website and if you locate the Google Sites for media studies and creative media practice, there's loads of taste lessons and things on there, so you'll get a flavour for how each course is taught and the kind of content on there, and you can see which one maybe appeals to you more. Oh, we have got loads of questions.
Yeah. Neve, is there a way you can do both? Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
You can do them. You can do both medias together if you want to.
Yeah.
That's something that we haven't mentioned and probably should have. But yeah, we have lots of people. I'll kind of answer this with photography and practical media be a bad mix. Absolutely not. It would be a good mix. There's no right or wrong answer for what subjects to do together. We get a lot of students that do the media and a film and English, and we get lots that do media, photography and graphics, and we get some that do media and French and maths. There's literally no right answer, but of course the graphics, the photography, the film, the Englishes, if you're into journalism, all work brilliantly together. You know, and there's you choose 3, so 3 subjects. Yeah. Some people, you know, have 2 creative subjects and then kind of a more academic one, and it works for them. The only thing that I would say is sometimes all coursework subjects can be a bit workload wise, but if you're good with your time management, you're good with your organization, then there's no saying that it's not possible either. Yeah, and at college we would recommend anyway that, well, you're allowed to do 2 coursework subjects plus 1 traditional A level. Is having a GCSE in art and photography good for this course? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, anything, you know, if you didn't have them, it doesn't matter. If you have got them, brilliant, you've got some basic skills that you can build on. Regardless of what level you come into our courses at, you will make progress. So even if you come into the course having already studied media, or you've got an art or photography, that may, you know, we'll push you on further. If you come into the course having not studied at all, that doesn't matter, because we'll start you at the bottom. You know, our job is to make sure that every student makes excellent progress. So you know, you can come to us with whatever it is that you've got. And just to answer, how broad are the topics that can be covered in creative media practice? I think it means creative media practice. At the minute, as broad as you want them to be. Like you say, you're going to have a lot of freedom. So you can choose your own briefs, you can choose your own magazines. And if, like I said, if there's something you want to cover, then just speak to me and we'll see. It's a new course. So that means there's you know, we are open to suggestions of what other things we can you know, contribute and what other things we can cover. But in terms of the briefs, you get to choose them, the majority of them. Yeah. Coursework, how much time on coursework a week? The college suggests a week per subject of homework of...
It's about 4 hours, isn't it?
Yeah, about 4 hours. And that's outside of college time. But in a coursework-based subject like creative media practice, and when studies are doing their coursework, you do get lesson time to do the work as well. So a lot of the lesson is you coming in and continuing with your coursework, and then anything you haven't done, get that finished for homework as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so every subject at QE, you'll get 5 hours of contact time with your teacher in your classroom, and then we would recommend up to 4 hours outside of the classroom per A level that you study on homework. But again, that might not necessarily be formally set homework. Your teachers would guide you on what it is that you need to do. I think we are coming to an end.
Yeah, we are. We've got the next one starting in 5 minutes, I think.
I don't think there are any new questions. I'll just check. I think we've answered everybody's questions. So thank you so much for joining us this evening.
We hope it was helpful.
Yeah. Any other questions, just, you know, drop us an email. But thank you very much, everybody. And hopefully we will see you in September.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.